Great. So delegates were one of the new concepts of .NET, and it was very great. They were doing it very, very well. But as time went by, people start having a lot of these kind of methods. Methods that only exist in one place, where we have to give them a name, although it doesn't really mean anything. Just write L to enter. It kind of goes without saying. And it became really cumbersome, because if I want to understand what the list is doing here, I have to go and search for this method. And if I want to ask what this list is doing here, I have to go and search for this method. Wouldn't it be great if I would just were able to write this code here, instead of having to create a method for it, or this code here, instead of having to create a method for that? And that's where anonymous method came to be, and later evolved into Lambda expressions. So the concept is simply having a method without a name. We don't care about the name. And we can write it in place. Let's show you how we do that. So we can take this code over here and delete, or pretty much take everything that is under the name of the method and place it over here. And now we can delete the actual method. And it will do exactly the same thing, because this is a method definition. The method definition knows the arguments that it receives and uses them. It is called anonymous method, anonymous because it doesn't have a name, or inline method, it's the names that I prefer because it's inline, or Lambda expression, which is the name that sometimes gives people the hives. Let's run it and see that the results that we're going to get is exactly the same. So let's go and run it and get our output windows back over here. Back window, output, great. And when I do F10, I will get exactly the same results as we did before when we had our method. Not only that, if I run it again and press F11, which means step into, it will actually break into this part of the code, only the part of the Lambda, only the right part, and will perform it 3 times, 1 for every value. So the debugging of it is great. So let's have a look at it. Cool. So let's review the change that we've done. So instead of having this full method over here, we were able to eliminate it like this. Just taking the implementation and place it between the parentheses. Great, but that's only the start, because even this can become cumbersome. So let's first of all, let's commit this, turning a method into an inline method. Perfect. Now, the smart people at Microsoft decided then, well, if we can make this shorter, let's make this even shorter. The for each statements accept an action of type int. So why should we specify int here? It's obvious that it's int. There's no other way. So we can even remove that. Let's review the change. And say here, when using Lambda expressions, there is no need to specify the parameter type, which eventually ends up to less code, which is always better. Let's just give it the right spelling. Cool. And then someone came and said, well, if it's only one name between 2 parentheses, so we don't even need the parentheses. So when the Lambda expression has a single parameter, okay, there's no need to put parens around it. So we can remove that. And we can say single parameter Lambda expression doesn't need the parents. However you spell that, there's some way to spell it, I don't care. The parenthesis, whatever. Bah. Hey, cool. Even he could find what I want. Now a question, so let's again review the change. We don't need the parentheses around that name. Cool. And question comes up, how the hell do we know what is the parameter type? Well, we can just hover it and it will tell it to us. It can tell us that object is of type int. And he knows it because the for each statements accept an action of type int. Perfect.